Welcome to Crappens. Don't wait a week for a new video. Join our Patreon at the Crappens On Demand level for instant recap access. Link in description. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Watch Our Crappens, a podcast about all that crap on Bravo that we just love to talk about. I'm Ben Mandelker, and joining me today is Mr. Ronnie Karam. Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
Hello.
You excited to talk some Below Deck today?
Heck yeah, baby.
You excited to talk some Summer House?
Summer House Martha's Vineyard afterwards. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
It's a 2-for-1 special, although it's really going to be mainly a one special with like a little extra side, a side of Summer House Martha's Vineyard. You know, it wasn't Summer House Martha's Vineyard. Not a lot happened. There was actually stuff happened,
Nothing happens
but
on
not
Summer House. What do you think is going to happen? It's Summer House,
It
man. Things are
it
not
wasn't the
supposed
most
to happen
provocative
on it.
episode. You know, the climax with the flamingo. So anyway, real quick reminder, go to our website, watchacrappens.com, in order to get tickets for our upcoming London. I know London sold out. I'm sorry. Okay. But for our Dublin and Birmingham shows that are going to be happening at the end of this month, we're really excited for that. You can also go to the website to find links for Patreon in case you can't remember. Patreon.com/watchacrappens. You get access to our weekly bonus episode. Or if you sign up on Crappens On Demand, you can watch us right now instead of just listening. There's a Discord community, so lots of fun stuff there. So anything you could want from Crappens is there on that website. And today we are back over in Grenada for some Below Deck activity. You texted me because you watched this before me, and you were like, I was like, oh, how was the episode? And you're like, it was good, just more Fraser undermining the chef. And I was like, oh, Ronnie. And then I watched it and I was like, I think Ronnie's onto something.
I mean, that's just his personality. He's just a little underminer. It's actually pretty funny how he does. Like, he just can't help himself. And I love that he gets himself so worked up. And he's like, surely now is the time I get to get somebody fired on national television. I've been working for this for years. And he's like, Captain, here's what I say. And this is going to happen. You're going to fire this person. The captain's like, nah. Maybe stop taking things so personal, mate. He's like, damn it, foiled again. Every single time.
I know. He really does try to get people fired every episode. He's like, Captain, we have reached an impasse with the chef. Something so unavoidably terrible is happening with him that I don't see how I could work with him. I am an iPhone user. He has Android. And I think this will be a problem going forward. So he must be removed.
That's you being a chief stew. You'd be like, I cannot handle another green bubble. He's out.
Oh, I'd be much more passive aggressive. I'd be like, so chef, you saw what we were talking about on the group text before? Oh no, you didn't, because you're Android. Sorry.
It's really I'm sorry. We had the whole conversation in GIFs, so you're not ever going to be able to respond to that.
We knew we could include you still. You could still be part of a group text, assuming that like nothing weird happens and your texts get like siphoned off into a single thread. But we just wanted to keep it all blue bubbles. So sorry.
And you know, we have to remember that that's how Fraser came onto the show. Remember, he was like, well, I am far above this other chief stew. I should be chief stew. I cannot believe that they are serving at this level when my level is up here and their level is down here. The level of levels. Like, he's always talking about how it is not worthy of my level, you know. And then the customer immediately complained about Fraser and was like, they didn't even empty the trash in my room. And I was like,
that's right.
He's from his first scene, he's always been a big snotty talker, and he just gets kind of knocked down every time. And it's kind of funny. He's like the gay Charlie Brown. He's like the snooty Charlie Brown.
That was when he was working under, was her name Heather, the bleach blonde, who would mess up and go, my apologies.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't been served breakfast yet and it's 1 p.m.? My apologies.
Yeah. So we start, some of this music, I've been doing the most when I'm outside, doing the most. I be so fine. They're waking up in the morning.
And they're all lying in bed. I noticed that. They're all just lying there. I think they're just trolling the cast at this point.
Breakfast, the slow motion coffee person's at it again. Whoever is working the B-roll footage has a kink for watching coffee splurt out. I mean, it's like they're standing there with the boner just getting slow motion sexy coffee. Like,
it's like everything this episode, every spigot that gets turned on. And what's so funny is that this episode tonally is, or even overtly, is about like making fun of these foodies and like taking all their photos of the food, which is, it is ridiculous and they should be made fun of. But like the whole show is making fun of the foodies and their food photography. I'm like, you realize this season's been the season where you're doing extreme close-ups with like depth of field with every single dish that comes out of the kitchen. Like, I hate to break it to you, Below Deck, but you are the foodies right now.
So Ben sees Sunny in the mess. And he's like, good morning. And she just ignores him. He's like, well, chicks, mate. Chicks. All right.
I know. That'll show him for a few minutes before later on when she decides to get back into bed with him. Wow. She's really, really proving a point.
Oh, gosh. So then Alex is, so Alex is the guest, the main foodie, the guy with the stupid sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
He's with the captain, and they're watching the sun come up. And Alex is like, so, this is how you start your days, huh? Watching the sun come up? He's like, well, sometimes. So usually I'll meditate in my room, but usually I'm up here waiting for pirates. A new day, a new adventure.
That's funny because the way I start my day is that I go to Joy Behar's autobiography and I read a random page.
I take a picture of myself while I do it.
I try to imagine what Joy Behar's eating for breakfast and decide to model my day after that.
So then the captain's like, it's not really work, is it? Because when you love what you do, Alex is like, yeah, it's not work. Right, it's not work because you love it. Yeah, it's so good talking to you. Can I just be alone, mate? Please, just go away, mate.
I just want to look at the sun. Or as they say in Turkey.
It's like we lost.
Say den skuniz bakmak istiyorum. Am I right?
Joy Behar loves turkey.
Is Joy Behar, is that a furniture company? No, that's Joy Bird.
So we go to put some water toys out. People are taking pictures of the food. And when we say that, we can't really stress enough how obnoxious these people are. Like literally taking pictures of every single thing. They're all so basic too. Do these people actually have followers? Who follows these people? Listen, I don't want to even watch hot people eat. You think I want to watch you eat? I don't want to watch you eat. Okay. Who wants to watch homely people eat? Is that a thing?
Yeah, well, it is a thing, and like you don't understand how mortified I was because I make fun, but I am of this style of obnoxiousness because I recently did purchase like a little light because my friend Kathy, who I know from my food blogging days, was like, you know what, Ben, you just have to get that little light. Actually, I don't think she even said that. I think I said, Kathy, why do your photos look so good? She goes, I got a little light. I'm not even going to blame her. I'm not going to make it sound like she came out of nowhere and told me. So I was like, I want to know what your light is. So I got the little light. And now I'm like every time I take a picture of food, I take about 7 photos of food. I just sent you a photo of beans I took. They're just soaking. It's not even artistic. It's just soaking beans. I took 15 photos of those beans last night. By the way, how long are beans supposed to soak for? Because I think they've been in there for like 12 hours. Is that okay?
Probably like 12 hours. They soak forever. I don't even know who even invented eating beans because they take so long. Like whoever it was like the most patient person ever,
Yeah. They're gigante beans. So I don't know how to, I'm going on a journey with them. Anyway, but the point is this, I am that person taking the photos with a little light and I'm like seeing these people doing it and I'm just like embarrassed for myself. And yet I know I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, it's like an addiction.
It is. It's so pretty.
Well, you're not on TV doing it, so I don't hate you for it yet, But these people are annoying. And then the gay is like, I love shrimp for breakfast. It's one of my things.
What an innovator.
Wow.
I used to just eat, just cheese and grits. But then I invented shrimp and grits. It's kind of my thing.
So Sandy's like, don't get me wrong. I love influencer, but I'm not an I'm not an influencer in that way. That's maybe like why I'm working on a fucking boat. I need to get a TikTok password. What is TikTok anyway? What is it?
So they're all ordering breakfast. They're ordering eggs Benedict, and then one girl is like, or a Genedict, because I'm Jen.
Oh God, you're all Jen. A basic and an eggs basidict. Okay, fucking basics. There's like 10 people named Jen on here. Okay. So Kyle is lifting a watermelon like a weight, as people do. And then in the galley, Zandy's standing there waiting for food, and the chef's like, "This is going too well, isn't it, mate? Oh God, hasn't gone this well since 1937, my 7th year in chefery, 20 years ago."
I'll always remember the first time I made an eggs Benedict. I was just about to plate the hollandaise sauce when the news came over the radio. The Hindenburg had just crashed.
And she's like, "Knock on wood." He goes, "No, I don't say, don't, no, what, sorry, gibberish comes out. Just junk comes out of me." I'm like, those are normally curse words. Like,
right.
He says the B and the C word. After seeing this episode, that he just says B and C word to himself all day long. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's probably why he's like a little flustered, because he can't do his normal cursing. So these perfectly...
He's like trying to do his normal thing without being canceled. He's like, all right, lighten up on the misogyny in the muttering. How am I going to do that?
Yeah. So these eggs Benedicts are going up, and Fraser looks, and he's like, how do I rudely say, are you going to garnish the plate? Because Fraser's talking like this is just like set, like a really all just sad eggs Benedicts. And, Ronnie and I had breakfast together on Friday, and I got us sausage, egg, and cheese, and it was like a whole plate with just like a sandwich on it and nothing else. And like that was a sad plating. But Fraser's acting like these eggs Benedict were like that. But then when we actually see them, they're very tastefully garnished. There's like some parsley, and there's like even like an herb that's kind of like cascading along the side. And the moment that happened, like when we saw what the garnish of this plate was, after Fraser's like, these are totally ungarnished, I was like, I think Ronnie's right. I think Fraser is undermining.
Yeah, he is. He's just going out of it because Fraser's one of those people who thinks that just criticizing somebody else makes him more tasteful. I guess maybe it's hypocritical. Maybe we have that. I don't know. But like constantly criticizing makes him feel better. Like he's the best at the job, like he still does that. He's done it since his first episode. And I think he's still doing it. And he's doing it in ways. It's like, look at me. I'm a good chief stew because I think everything's terrible, and he's always trying to do it right in front of the captain too. Because the captain's sitting there eating and he's like, "Oh, really? You're not even going to garnish a plate?" And last week it was like, "Look at these French fries. Disgusting plating." It's like he's just coming from constantly in front of someone else, and it just makes him look weak. I think that someone like the captain looks at that and just sees a weak person constantly gossiping. And then he's doing it to Paris, who's an underling, and also making Paris go do something about it. It's just weak all the way around.
Yeah, it's not good. And on top of that, by the way, I think eggs Benedict are kind of difficult to garnish. First of all, as Tom Colicchio says, you should never have a garnish that's on there just to be a garnish. Like Tom Colicchio hates a garnish that's not functional. And I feel like this guy probably is of that mindset too. And like you can't just like put berries or fruit on an eggs Benedict, because I feel like that's a clashing flavor to go with. Like egg Benedict is a very savory thing to have. There's egg yolk going everywhere, hollandaise, ham, or bacon, or who knows what you're going to be putting on it, but it's mainly ham or Canadian bacon. So like, would you put like melon and fruit with an eggs Benedict? I feel like potatoes is the way to go. Maybe
no. You put parsley or like little
you do it something
chopped
tasteful.
up chives or something like.
I would do like an herb oil. You know what I would do? I would do like maybe like a little bit of a drizzle, like an herb oil garnish with like some nice really like dots that would make it look kind of like a little elevated.
It's served with potatoes or something. It's not just coming out alone. But also, no, I wouldn't do any of that because Fraser's just making stuff up to look like to be a little fucking tattletale in front of the captain and make this guy look stupid. Fraser's just. He's trying. I think that he's trying to look like he's doing a good job, but he is looking like a little wuss, and I'm embarrassed for him at this point because it's like a character flaw, and he doesn't seem to be able to get past it because he does it with literally everybody. It's embarrassing. Yeah. So then he's bitching to Paris. So now this ends up being a domino effect where he sicks Paris on this guy. And then it's going to turn into a horrible, horrible situation for Paris,
Yeah.
And she's really just kind of doing his bidding. Now, granted, she kind of takes it into her own thing later. because the chef's reaction to her doing this is not good. Okay,
Yeah.
so she's like, all right. So she goes in there and she's like,
Oh, she actually does my suggestion. She says, do we have a drizzle, like a garnish on a plate or something like so?
Well,
My
also, he's already
suggestions-
putting parsley on. So Fraser saw it without anything on there. So he's saying this garnish sucks, but he's now garnishing the plates with parsley. So he's just sent her in there and he is garnishing the plates. So she's like, well, do we have, he's even explaining to Zandy that the reason you put parsley is to cleanse the palate before the next thing. And so Paris comes in and she's like, do we have a drizzle to garnish the plate a little bit?
And he's like, well, he said no oil, so you ready to go? Like either you and me are going to either be friends or you're going to hate me by the end of this. And she goes, all right, well, this is done. Okay, thank you very much. So she takes these plates up. And at first, when he puts the parsley down, it does for a moment look sad because you just see, like sometimes when you have just a simple little sprig of parsley on a plate, it looks so like airline food or whatever. Like, oh, here's my attempt to make it look fancy. But then later, again, we see that it's not just parsley. There was like something else there on that plate. And I thought it was like very tasteful and very chic.
But even if
personally.
not, it's not the waitress's job to tell the chef, you need to garnish this. That's bullshit. Like any other chef would have thrown a knife at her head. Okay. You cannot. I mean, Fraser, it could be argued that maybe Fraser could say something, although I don't think it's his place either. He shouldn't be doing that. You don't just, he's not the boss. But he has more of a right. I mean, there's an argument to be made. I get it. But the waitress, hell no. She doesn't get to go in there and tell the chef what to do. This is bullshit.
Yeah, and then Paris is like, well, he says he doesn't want to do it, and he's like, but he said no oil, but we have tomatoes. He could garnish with some berries. Like, I really hate that. Like, I'm with Tom Colicchio on this one, guys. Which is that if I got eggs Benedict and there was like 2 random tomatoes on the side, I'd be like, that's kind of annoying. I don't know. I don't like just like, I hate stuff that's really not supposed to be there. That's like part of the order.
Raw
and
tomato,
then like,
bad, terrible.
yeah, and I don't
Very
want that
stupid.
raw tomato juice to be like leaking into my hollandaise.
So now Fraser, okay, so now you want her to go in and argue with the chef for you? You fucking wuss. Like, what is wrong with you? So she's like, well, he won't do it. So thank God she just walks away. But now the chef hates her, right? And
Yeah.
you see him stewing. He's like, oh my God, you really? And then inaudible,
intended.
most likely B and C words is my guess. So then Sonny is fixing a wood chair and Ben's just been dumped by What's Her Buns on national TV. So Ben, who yesterday cruelly dumped Sonny on national television and treated her like absolute garbage, is now, of course, flirting with her again because his plan B has crashed and burned, which we all knew was going to happen. But wow, the guy has no subtlety at all. Just like, well, I look stupid, so I'm going to be immediately back on this one.
So he's being flirtatious and asking her about like gluing this chair and everything, and if it's gonna set in time. And Sonny says like, I'm feeling like really awkward. Like I'm pretending things are fine, and it's a little difficult. And I was like, good Sonny, you're sticking to your guns, right? Like this guy treated you with no respect, and now is dumping you. He made you act a certain way, and then he responded to that way by making it seem like you were the crazy one, and then he dumped you. Good for you, sticking to your guns. You're not gonna like just because he's flirting with you, flirt back with him. You're on the path now, Sonny. This time it's gonna work.
Yeah, well, no.
And by work I mean the path to
People don't
independence.
change. Yeah. People don't change, especially this quickly. Okay. Yeah. So Kyle comes up behind Barbie as she irons, and he's trying to flirt with her, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, all right." And she's like, "Not really. I come from Argentina. It's just like a more modest world, and this is not modest." Okay. And so they show the show, who really cares about her dad flipping out, just shows the sex scene again.
I know.
Yeah, like my father's opinion matters highly, but I'm an adult and I like him and he likes me, and there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing with Kyle, and he's a good guy, so I don't really know. It's like poor person dick or future Chanel bags.
So then Barbie's like, Kyle? Yes, what? Never mind. You're killing me. I'm like, okay, well, that was great. So now over at the breakfast table, this girl Isabel is like, let's say, guess what? One of Zach's 50 dates responded to me on Instagram. It's like, yeah, I did 50 dates in 50 days. Yeah, that's how I found my girlfriend.
Congratulations. You've been chosen out of 50 people in 50 days.
I feel like the phrase is, that's how I found my now ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, and a lady is like, "Oh my God, did you rate all of them? I mean, was there like a list?" He goes, "Yeah, it was a spreadsheet." So,
Wow.
by the
Nothing
way,
makes
this
you feel
guy,
more special.
the only
than
way
the-
this guy would have 50 dates in 50 days is to pay a service, because this is no prize. I mean, I love that you're setting yourself up to be the prize of all these people auditioning to be with you. Fucking gross. I mean, on the other hand, good for you for having some self-confidence, because maybe that's lacking in the world. I would say that to a bunch of homely influencers, what you're not lacking is self-confidence. You've all got plenty of that, but gross. Either way, gross, Zach. Gross.
Yeah. So down in the galley, the chef. What's the chef's name again? I forgot already. Nick. He gives me Big Dave energy, but Nick. Okay, Nick. So he's just like stewing and mumbling. Seabird, seabird, don't see the seabird, don't say the seabird, garnish seabird. Oh. So he's just like, these people are driving me crazy. These incompetent people are driving me crazy. And Barbie's like, who's incompetent? I come from a conservative culture. And he's like, no, I'm just talking to myself. I'm the incompetent person.
So then one of the gens is like, I want to take a picture of this sea ball, but you take a picture of me. So Ben takes a picture, and then she's like, okay. And then a lady is taking a picture of him taking her picture. It's like very meta. It's a lot of Instagramming going on. And she's like, you're not even going to write it? She's like, no, I just wanted the picture on it.
Yeah. And says water sports, and then the bananas going wild and everything. And then chef hands a sauce to Paris. And because there's a bunch of tacos out there for the crew meal. And she's like, oh, these tacos for the crew? And he's like, yeah. So she takes mayo and just starts like squirting it on her taco.
And she's like, I am a mayonnaise fiend. It's my personality. You might have seen my previous work in Confessional number 1 or 4, where I split mayonnaise directly into my mouth. But it's hilarious. Actually, it got me on this show, all right? So those people who say don't bring props to auditions, fuck you, go suck a dick, all right? Because it worked for me. And he goes, oh, wow, mayonnaise, eh? You get a bit chubby and a guy breaks your heart, don't come complaining to me. Oh, Nick.
Don't love this playful banter here. "Quote unquote playful banter."
Of course, it turns immediately sexist with Nick. And we all kind of knew it was coming, I mean, it's, as we said, he's like giving Fred Flintstone energy in a Barney Rubble body. And
he's the type of guy that's like, oh, you can't make jokes about anything anymore. It's always those guys. Like, everyone's so sensitive. It's called having a sense of humor. You can't make jokes about anything. And then you say, well, like your eggs Benedict, this fucking garnishless plate. You know what? I do my work. He'll be the one that gets really sensitive about something. Look at me, changing my opinion about him. Fuck this guy. So Paris is like,
can't even slap someone on the ass and call them toots anymore. Am I right?
yeah. So Paris is like, well, you know what? I did get chubby at one point, and I was still hot. Nick is weird as fuck. I'm working my ass off and running around. Trust me, bro. I'll work off the calories.
And then she squirts mayo into her mouth, which is, I don't know. Paris already has such a personality. I hate that she's juxtaposing her natural charisma, or her riz, as the kids would say, with the mayo bit. I don't need the mayo bit.
Yeah.
So then Nick's like, well, I'm pretty chunky. He's trying to save it, basically, where he's like, well, I'm pretty chunky now, and I'm fucking hot, so I get it. A, no, you're not. And B, that's unsavable. But you know what you should do now is just double down and get even more sexist. I think that'll save you. Surely that'll save you.
So the guy, Steven, the gay with the beard, goes down the slide, and Fraser's like, okay, husband, get in the water so I can see your soaking wet body. I'll tell you what needs a garnish. Him, and I'm the parsley. So Fraser's basically like, yes, today we've got a day of water sports and light lunch service, and the guests will have requested a New Year's celebration. So he radios up to Barbie to set up New Year's Eve and everything, and he says that there's going to be a meal at the strike, or at the stroke of midnight. It's absurd, but it's happening. All I know is, whether it's a strike or a stroke, there'll definitely be some stroking happening at some point this evening.
So Steven's joking, like, where's my boyfriend? And the Stephanies are all like, "Oh my God, do you mean your fiance? Oh my God, we're gonna do like a gay people getting married thing. So I hope you're ready to propose. Fraser, are you ready to be proposed to? It's gonna be hilarious."
50 dates. So,
No, that was Zach. This is Steven.
no, I know, but she's riding the high of his 50 dates. Remember? Because one of the dates wrote her on Instagram. She's basically famous now.
Sorry.
She's like, he bet like that date. She like wrote me and was like, "Wait a second, are you friends with the guy who did the 50 dates thing?" That was amazing. Sometimes
I
when I
thought
listen
you
to
were
that,
getting your basics messed up.
no, it was an intentional reference. I was painting a picture.
Sorry.
We're diving deeper into Stephanie's life.
Stephanie, and Steph. And Stephen. So he's like, "Oh my God, someone go get Captain Carey. We're going to make this really weird and get married right now." So then the chef is now with Paris again. So she's pissed now because she pissed him off. Then he made a snarky comment to her, and now she's pissed off. All of this started because of fucking Fraser making her go in there with garnish requests. Yeah. So he goes, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yeah, in between lifting heavy shit." And he goes, "Well, I mean, yeah, for a chick, you're quite just, what, butch?" And he goes, "Well, you're not as weak as other chicks." And she's like, "Wow, you really know how to talk to a woman, don't you?"
He's like, ha 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 ha. They're doing one of those things where they are like, or he's doing this thing where he's like covering up rage with laughter. So it's like it just feels tense, these interactions. It's gonna bubble over. You know that there's gonna be one comment that the playful banter vibe is gonna go away from. It's gonna evaporate.
It started with him being like, "This stupid waitress comes in here and tells me how to garnish, and so I'm going to be a dick. I'm going to be a sexist dick to her." But then he's a sexist dick to her, and she doesn't take his shit for 2 seconds. So now he likes her. So now he's flirting with her, but he's still saying sexist dick things because he's a sexist dick. And now she wants to fucking murder him. And now she's going to reject him. And it's going to really make him hate her. So all of this doesn't have to do with the garnish, but it all began with the garnish. You see, it's a parsley fucking snowball.
Exactly. And that's why you always have to do the right garnish and don't try to force something, Fraser. So meanwhile, Kyle and Ben and Sonny are hanging out. And Ben is like very proud. He's like, "So I spoke to Barbie." And Kyle's like, "Good." Or Ben said, I'm sorry, Kyle said he spoke to Barbie. And Ben says, "I spoke to her. And I said, you have to speak to Kyle because he's been nothing less than a gentleman." It's like, and then Sonny's just there. Why doesn't Sonny say, "This is none of your business, Ben. You should have butted out. It's not your right to walk up to someone and say like what they should or should not be doing." Ben says she just sits there, being a great friend to Barbie.
So then Kyle's like, "I like her a lot. I just don't know where I stand. It built and built and built, and now it's in the gutter. You're a woman grown. Maybe it's a bit more than what your dad thinks about it." No, because you're poor. And that was her monologue last week. She's like, "Yeah, normally, with anybody but Kyle. I mean, anyone with any kind of class or any kind of money, but he's so cute for a poor person. He's like, it's like wanting to always fuck one of the chimney sweeps in Mary Poppins. You know what I mean? And now's my chance, but my dad's really gonna be pissed."
So then Zandy and Paris are doing laundry, and Zandy is like, "Here are more holes." And Paris goes, "Oh, who doesn't want more holes?" And Zandy says, "I'm good with the holes that I have. It's enough maintaining them." Ha 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 ha. Zandy zing.
Amen, sister. So then Dylan is checking the ignition on the boat, and he's like, "Look at me checking the ignition. We have a crane operator here now. It's Sunny. You go, girl. You go, girl. Woman power cranes. Woman power with a crane. Do it. I'm going to do a fist bump with you. Let's do a handshake, but it's secret, but you don't know the secret because you're a woman. But hold on. Oh, did it. She's capable of handshakes. I can see why you're having sex with her on the boat."
Now hold on while I now wash the calories from your hand off of my hand. Thank you. I don't know how much ham you've been touching. So Sonny, meanwhile, is laughing. And then Dylan says, "Actually, I was a crane operator on cargo ships, like massive 120,000 kilograms. And I started listening to podcasts where I was working with the crane. And they said in the podcast, you've got to surround yourself with people you want to be like one day. So that's when I decided I'm going to Katie Maloney's side."
And I love when they said he listens to podcasts now. It shows a picture of him in a really tight T-shirt with earbuds in. It's like, look, there's him listening to a podcast.
I know. Can only imagine what he's listening to.
We know it's Dylan's affirmations. You know,
It's just him. It's
you
his
are
own
strong.
podcast.
Your farts are only made of protein. Everybody believes in you. You are the biggest man in town. You will never be fat again.
You operated a large crane once. It's funny when people are like excited that they operated a large crane. Like, I mean, it's cool. I can't do it, but I wonder, is there a significant difference between operating a large crane versus a small crane? Because at the end of the day, you're still just moving joysticks around, right?
Well, of course, it's a lot more danger. There's a lot more. It's a bigger license, just like having the boat. I mean, you're always floating, but having a license for a giant boat is way better than having a tiny boat license.
I was just trying to take his crane bragging down a peg.
You really are. I mean, let the man live. I know he's not the best guy in the world, but he earned that crane license. God damn it.
All right, we'll give it to him. So he says, that's why if you believe it, you can achieve it. I'm like, so you're like, I would like, instead of operating a large crane, I would like to be at the whims of rich people.
You literally just got passed up for a chief deckhand or a lead deckhand position. I don't know that any of this is true.
I feel like people are like,
if you believe it, you can do it. Okay, well, not the lead deckhand position, but literally anything else.
I feel like when people say, if you believe it, you can achieve it. Like, I once was working on a boat and now I own my own company. And he's like, I once was working on one boat and now I work on a slightly different boat.
It's a different kind of boat.
I'm still in the service industry and I'm lowly ranked.
But at the end of the day, he is still kind of, being Dylan, where he's like, oh, look at you. I support you, Sonny. Look at you working a little tiny crane. Oh, I have a license for huge cranes, but have fun with that little crane. Oops, messed up already. Sad crane. Crying ham. That is why, maybe the ham saw this, and that is why it's crying little dews of fat out of it that I have to wash off of my hand.
So Sunny hits the wrong button and she goes, my bad. He goes, no, we are Golden Girl. Thank you for being my friend.
So then now it's New Year's night, so the guests are all gathering in their New Year's costumes, and one of the Stevens is like, oh my God, gay people getting married. Steven, are you going to propose to Fraser? Fraser, are you going to get proposed to by Steven? Gay people getting married. This is how the Supreme Court must have been laughing during that decision. It is hilarious.
So what do you look like when you're down on your knees? Yes, Steven, please tell us what you look like when you're down on your knees. And he's like, oh, that has escalated quickly. So meanwhile, Barbie
I hate these people so much. I don't know why, but I hate these
nice,
basic ass people. I hate them. They're making me crazy. And I'm not getting any chemistry with these two people. Are you? With Fraser and Steven?
No, well, I think that Fraser's just happy to be getting anything coming his way. And I was just so grateful the way Fraser handled it compared to Kyle and Frank from Below Deck met. The way you smile is, it could light up like 1,000 nights. That smile. I would do anything for that smile, Frank. I was actually...
I love you.
Frank, don't leave me behind in the boat. I mean, I was grateful for Fraser's restraint, to be honest.
I believed Kyle and Frank, though. I believed that one. I believed that they wanted to rip each other's clothes off and get married. I mean, it lasted 5 minutes, but I believe that one. This one, I don't. I think Steven just wants to be on TV, and Fraser wants to be seen as lighthearted. He's like, look at me, horny and in love. Horny and in love, Fraser.
Well, it's the only gay person that Bravo's been kind enough to send my way, so I might as well see where it goes.
I absolutely cannot wait to rip his clothes off.
Look at him. He's like a hideous little ogre with probably hairy toes. But I'll fuck him, because why not?
And Steven's like, wow, he's so hot. I want to walk on him. Like, I'm not buying it. Okay, so then Barbie calls her sister in the mess. And she's like, oh, like, just try not to be a massive bitch about what I tell you, okay? And the sister's like, oh my God, is this something Dad's not gonna like? And she's like, yeah, it's something about Dad. So, this season I've been like going through so much shit. It's like been terrible, but like I have this guy Kyle who's like pretty much been my rock through this whole thing. So like, I mean, I was into him too, but because of Dad and shit, I didn't do anything, but like we've become a thing now.
And so what soda does his dad work for?
I don't even know. I don't. He didn't know what bottled water was. Well, actually, when I said there's bottled water, he was like, "Why would they put water in a bottle? What a waste." So,
Barbie, what the hell are you doing here? Okay, dad has standards with this kind of stuff. We can't just like sleep with people who are not attached to soft drinks.
yeah, I mean, like the heaviest thing for me is like letting dad down because like I was like looking like at least for like a Fanta or like a doctorate salt, but nothing, like nothing.
Well, you should have thought that before. Okay, so now it is what it is. Okay, I'm like, well, way to go, sister. Not being bitchy to Barbie right now. Should have thought about that beforehand, Barbie.
Well, but
Can't even
dad
get a
really has
Fanta.
him
Disgusting.
terrified. Like, oh my god, you're making dad mad. You're having a relationship on a boat. What is dad gonna do? I mean, this is why it's so good. And the dad is actually setting himself up for failure here by making the kids work because he's showing the rich kids that they can't do it themselves and they don't need his stupid ass. So they can dump him and he can go die alone. That's what I say. Your father should
Yeah.
never be able to control you like that. You should be able to fuck on national TV all you want to, Barbs.
But am I gonna disappoint dad? Like, yeah, but at least I'm gonna be myself. And being myself is like, I like this guy. Yeah, well, that's what you said about Jordan Pibbs, okay? And that was a disaster.
And it is kind of refreshing when when someone's like, "Oh my
Refreshment?
god, what's gonna happen when I disappoint my billionaire father?" It's like you're working on a boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because most of the time, it'd be like that would be the most disappointing thing. But this time, it's just like banging a poor person when you're just undercover poor, trying to prove your dad that you're worth the Coca-Cola fortune at the end of the day.
Barbie basically is like, you know what? I respect my father, and it's like, but it's even more than my family. It's important that I'm just like me, okay? And Kyle has a really big dick. What can I say? So, I mean, you can only hold off for so long.
It's blurred out, which is a little weird, but hopefully my dad will at least be thankful I'm hooking up with someone with blurry dick. So you're welcome, Dad. And the sister's like, at the end of the day, you get nothing for nothing. And you're the person who lives with their decisions. You. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
Jeez. The
Great
sister
support
sounds like a
system
real
here.
fucking pleasure cruise over there.
I know. Sounds like a great time, okay, with whatever her name is. Mandalina or whatever. So Fraser's like,
Aquafina.
Gloria.
I'm really into Coca-Cola's water division today. Can you tell? I don't know why I won't go with soda. I'm like sticking with bottled water. Okay, so Fraser is like, all crew, guest dinner this evening at 10. From then will be the countdown to 2023 to 2023.5. Ha, 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 ha. I can't wait to make sweet, sweet love to the love of my life, Stephen.
So Paris is like, say, Steven, you gonna have a New Year's kiss? And he's like, I have no idea. The chemistry is just insane. So then Barbie, Fraser, and Fraser are in the mess, and Barbie's like, so everyone's saying you're gonna have a New Year's Eve kiss. Is your dad okay with that? Well, tell me. And he's like, Barbie, no. He's like, just brush your teeth before midnight, Fraser.
Gay kiss. So then Paris is she's teasing Zach. She's teasing Stephen about maybe this is the most important year of your life. And she's like, I've never hooked up with a guest because my charters, the guests are usually 70 to 80 years old. And I'm not really into crusty dick. And I like dicks that work because I know that at that age they don't work. So.
I mean, I feel bad for the older echidnas on the farm because could you imagine having 5 dicks on your body and none of them even work? It's just sad at that point.
So then, let's see. Fraser and Barbie are joking around about him hooking up because she's like, you better brush your teeth because you're totally gonna hook up later. And he's like, Barbie, please don't do this to me, Barbie. I will fire you again. And I'll try to fire you again. And Sandy goes, yeah, we all know how that's gonna go. She's like, yeah, not very well because you can still do whatever you'd like. So I guess that was a fail.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, Dylan and Ben and Kyle are just like chilling on a raft. They're just hanging out, lying back there, which drives me nuts because the deckhands are always the ones that complain when they have to help out service, and yet like they're the only one. when nighttime comes, they can just like hang out there for hours and hours and hours until they have to bring a single plate to a table, and they're like, "We're always picking up your slack." So just a holistic rant about the Below Deck franchise in general. So then Fraser and Captain Carey are talking, and Fraser's like, "Hello, Cap. The malicious rumors about a guest that wants to have a New Year's kiss with the crew. What are your thoughts on that?" He's like, "Well, that right there is sexual harassment. The opposite of it's not quite an adventure, if you ask me. But what if the crew member's actually extremely keen on it, even though it means closing his eyes and fantasizing about someone else entirely during the process?"
So he's like, "All right, mate. Well, here's the thing. That's sexual harassment. But I'm keen." And he's like, "All right, it's fine. If it's a New Year's Eve and that's it, you can do it. Now, if I had a boatman, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it attack Saddam Hussein in a bowl pit? Adventure."
So tonight, it's going to be surf and turf. So the chef is like, he's like, "Oh, God, am I supposed to make something interesting for these fucking foodies? I mean, me personally, I wouldn't order surf and turf. Haven't eaten it since at least, I don't know, the first time photographs were invented. But I don't like mixing my seafood and my meat. And you've got to cook what they want. So let's get the social media pics looking good for these guys." So he basically makes surf and turf. But he actually it's separated out. It's not even the same plate, right? There's like a steak course and then a fish course.
Yeah.
Which is like standard at like a plated, at a tasting menu.
But
I don't know what I'm
love
trying to
this.
say.
I love this chef is like, "Oh, I don't believe in surf and turf." Oh, okay. Okay, it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
So then Fraser mingles with Steven. He's like, "Hello, person I have charisma with. Look at you in a gold suit. How sexy. So, what do you do for work?" And he's like, "I'm in real estate." He goes, "Oh, so it's going well then?" He's like, yeah, I'm just profusely sweating. Sorry." He's like, "How deliciously sexy."
Wow. It's so nice of you to not even bother attempting to come up with a fake profession to turn me on. I can't say I've had much kink about having to have sex with someone who sells split-level homes in the Maryland suburbs, but I can try. There, my boner went away.
Gone. It's trying. It really is. So now it's dinner time, and because 10 phones whip out and start dong, 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 ching, ching, taking pictures of everything. And he's serving rice and zucchini with some kind of a foam on top or something. And then it cuts to Dylan doing his affirmations of bed. "You are smart. You are beautiful. Positivity burns calories. Your crane is bigger than her crane."
You're still important. So now, so the chef is going to be, like you said, putting foam onto a plate, and the foam machine is like not working properly. And so he's going to add the foam like right at the last second. And so he tries to add the foam, and it just sort of like splurts out, but it looks like a sauce. It's fine, if you ask me. And I thought, by the way, these dishes looked very lovely. And in fact, we see a photo of this lobster tail with croquettes and foam, and the photo is very nice. And I think these all look lovely. And Fraser, of course,
I
is
do
like,
too. I'm wondering what the hell. And look, I know that I just sound like completely anti-Fraser, and I'm really not. I think he's sucking right now, but I am kind of rooting for him at the end of the day. But he's just not winning, And then now he's like coming for this guy, and this dish actually looks decent. It's a fucking lobster tail on a zucchini. Like, how beautiful do you want? Do you think it's that it's white on white? I mean, what is he mad about?
He doesn't want to like it. We've seen poorly plated food on this show, and he's like, "I'm actually quite shocked by this. The presentation is horrific, and you're not complaining about it. I mean, sure." And he's horrified. We've seen so much worse. I mean, what was it that? I mean, just from Anthony alone, we've seen worse. I don't understand what Fraser's big problem is here.
Yeah, I don't either. And I do think that if it was bad, one of these Instagrammers would be like, "Ew, this is ugly."
Yeah.
They have no problem being like that. So he's like, "I think that the experience of being on a super yacht is just so magical to these people that they're just overlooking things. But you know what? I'm glad that they are, because if they weren't, I'd be worse off. So thank you for having no taste." I
So,
think being on a super yacht is so glamorous that it makes you think you have to be more of a dick to act like you have more taste than you actually do, because half the shit you're going off about isn't even real. It's just made
yeah.
up in your head, you nutcase. Now, hold on, because the chef is going to give you plenty of reasons to really hate his ass. But now you're going to go crying wolf to the captain, and when this sexist asshole really does do something worth getting fired, he's not going to, because you're crying wolf. Sorry.
So, so now the guests are joking about like Nick because they love the food, and one guy's like, she's like, "Oh my god, I love this food," and then someone's like, "Oh my god, she's gonna step brother his ass and roll him into a ball," which I imagine is a reference to the movie Step Brothers, but I never saw it, so it didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
So then, let's see here. The chef is talking. So he sees Paris again. So he goes, "Oh, Paris, my third favorite stew." She goes, "Third? You better watch your tongue." And he goes, "It's a joke. You're my top three." She's like, "Oh, you are hilarious." So I think he thinks that he's flirting now, and she wants him to just burn alive.
Yeah. So now he's like ready to plate for the next course, but like one of the guests is just taking like 30 minutes to eat her dish because she keeps taking photos of it or just eating it slowly, which is strange to me because you're like if you're a food blogger, like it's weird that you're eating slowly in the sense that you're holding up an entire table. But I think it was like her little power move. So they're just like waiting and waiting and waiting. And then Paris asks the chef if she can have a tea towel. And he goes, no. Or what does he give her? Like, I was confused.
He's like a sea towel or something. She says, "No, a tea towel, tea, Junior." And he's like, "Listen, I've been up since 5:30. She goes, "Oh, I'm just razzing you." And he goes, "Well, I'm sensitive." And she's like, "Yeah, I can tell. Have you got garnish? Because your plates have been lacking garnish." Okay. I was like, oh. And by the way, the captain passes by and hears this. So I love that the captain keeps passing and hearing drama and immediately walking away. Or he'll be like, "There's drama coming. I'm getting right in the middle of it." And then he listens to it and backs away slowly every time.
Yeah. So this, of course, chefs have such egos. So he's like, 22 years I've been a chef. And how old is she? She was still shitting in the bed when I was fucking working.
Did he say a commie?
I
Call
don't
me
remember.
chef. What was he saying?
I was a fucking commie. It was a commie chef. He's like, I really am old.
Yeah,
I was
like,
there
"Oh,
when
I
Lenin
remember.
came into power.
I remember when I was a fucking call me chef back when that was trendy. God. But if there's anything wrong with the food, it falls on me now. So what I say is the law. Get back to cleaning sinks and maybe scrub a toilet or something, It's like, oh, dun, dun, dun. The violins are like, sexist violin, sexist violin. And she's like, come on, you could do cucumbers, the stars, the world is your oyster, chef.
He's like, oh yeah, great. We'll go back to the 80s. I love when chefs do that whole thing to stews. Like, yeah, go back to like pushing a vacuum or cleaning sinks, as if chefs don't also have to like literally do all those things in their galley. Like, it's like, that's what we see you every single episode. You have to wash your sink and sweep up your galley floor. You're also doing the cleaning.
Yeah. So now it's time to plate, and this stupid Steph still is 28 minutes later, and she's still sitting there with her plate like, okay, I guess now I'm done.
I would be so pissed. I would be
just
so
serve
mad
around
if I'm
her.
Yeah. I would just be like, Steph, are you going to eat your food? Because I'm ready for the next course.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I would serve around her stupid ass. I hate people like this.
Yeah, they actually should not have even. They shouldn't have even taken away the plates. Did they take away the plates? You're not really supposed to take away plates, right? Until everyone's finished eating.
Well, but if they're just sitting there with empty plates in front of them, you have to take the plates. You can't just leave them there forever.
Yeah, I think it's
Because
supposed
then
to be
people
like,
start pushing their plates up, and then you look like you're really shitty at your job. And then they start looking around like, is anybody going to take my plates?
yeah. So, so now they are played. Now, next course is going out and everything. And Paris still wants a garnish. They're really obsessed with the garnish, like, because I think Fraser put the garnish bug into Paris's head, so now she wants a garnish on everything. And then like Steven is talking about he's just like really hot. He's just so hot in his outfit. So Fraser helps him take his jacket off, and then also helps him take his pants off, which is I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because they're like, oh my God, gay people take off his pants too. Sweet does. They're like, oh my God, that's hilarious. Fraser, do a favor. Do the honor of taking clothes off Steve. And he's like, of course, I think you can sit for this. Oh God, the heat coming off of you is pretty impressive. So they're all filming it on their phones. She's like, oh my God, Steven, ask him to marry you now.
So now Chef is telling Ben that he thinks that Paris hates him. He's like, I mean, don't look at me like you're gonna murder me. I mean, you scare me. Crazy women, right? Women are so hot and cold.
Yeah. So next course, chocolate fondant with chocolate from the excursion. So now it's time for their New Year's party, and they do a happy New Year's thing. And Fraser's like, I'm going to give my husband a kiss. So he goes over and he gives the guy a kiss, and everyone screams. He's like, oh, the absolute chemistry roiling within me is unstoppable. My head is about to pop off. Anyone else?
So they have like a little peck, and Barbie's like, did you like it? What soda's he from? And he's like, I was hoping for a bit more, like personality, height, muscles, hair, eye features, really anything from this person. But other than that, it was fine.
So now we get a climax to the Barbie romantic drama saga. She pulls Kyle aside. She's like, can I talk to you? I just wanted to say that I'm really sorry that I didn't own it, but now I own it. And I know you're never going to own anything. So I'm just going to talk on a figurative level, but, I'm going to own it. Maybe you could one day figuratively rent to own it. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm so proud of you. Let's bang. All right.
I'm just a girl standing in front of a much poorer boy, asking him to get a lot more wealthy and then meet my dad.
I'm just a girl standing in front of a Dollar Tree asking a guy, is everything in there really $1? And then my sister passes by and throws a full bottle of Big Red at my head and drives away. So.
And says, you should have thought of that before you walked into the Dollar Tree, which, by the way, they do not sell trees in there.
So now Fraser is texting, he's texting Steven in bed. And Steven's like, are you really sleeping in your room? Is that a hard no? And he's like, very unfortunately, that is a fireable offense, sir. However, it would have been a great start to a new year. Nighty night, handsome. I can barely contain the chemistry in this here text.
So now it's the morning, and Fraser's like, oh, he messaged me on Instagram. He's been up. How pathetic of him. So then we see slow-mo coffee, and Fraser and Zandy are talking, and Fraser's like, it's like, babe, you're wearing a Guess shirt. You can't just take it. Stop smelling my man, you bitch. Look at me, so enthused by the gay the producers found for me. I have 0 notes. I'm so happy with this choice.
He's like, last night at the stroke of midnight, 2 gorgeous men found love. Oh, look, there's my husband. Hello, husband. Would you like something? And the guy's like, sure. A mimosa? God, this is not working. So then breakfast, he's sugaring some muffins down there. And by the way, yeah, he's doing muffins. Okay. So then Fraser goes, could I get you some parsley or something? It's a muffin tray,
with
dude.
powdered sugar.
The garnish is the powdered sugar. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not gonna garnish these eggs Benedict, you know? And he's like, but even if we just use some cherry tomatoes and cut them up around the plate. It's like, no. He was right. That would look very 90s, I think, if you put up some little sliced cherry tomatoes around your eggs Benedict. No, it's standing on its own.
And I hate it because it's putting us in a position of standing up for the chef who's a pig. We can already tell he's a pig. We know he's a sexist pig. And we know he's going to only get worse from the previews. But we still have to stick up for him because you're being such a dumbass about this, Fraser. Come on. Yeah. Pick your battles, dude. Parsley is not your battle.
Yeah. So, the chef is just like, well, shut up about the fucking garnishes. I mean, honestly. You got these influencers, the Yelpers. Can you Yelp a private chef? How does that work? Being yelped. Don't really know. I'll just call him the C word under my breath.
And Fraser walks away. He's like, just do as I say. Just do as I say. So then, and see, that's his problem, I think. You're not the boss here, sir. You are outranked. For someone who's all about the rank, you are outranked here, right? The chef outranks the...
I think so. So now the breakfast is being served, and someone wants a crepe. And so Fraser's like, okay, it'll be probably a chocolate crepe. So he goes into the galley and he says it's gonna be eggs Benedict and a crepe, and let's make the crepe chocolate. And the chef is like, well, if I'm on a super yacht, I want to like request my crepe. I don't want to like leave it up to just me to come up with a crepe, basically. And so Captain Curry comes. He's like, "What's this?" So we're talking about a crepe full of adventure, my favorite feeling of all.
I don't really understand this whole thing because is it this below deck where the chief stew was like they need more options? You can't just tell them what they're gonna have, and now
It always goes back and forth. It's like there's some where it's like the chef is just going to call all the shots, and then there's some where they're like that's bad, and there's some where they're like we want to give all the options, but then that's bad because the guests give too many options. So it's all about like trying to find that balance of like creating some structure but also a sense of choice.
but weren't they having a problem with the other chef because they kept giving everybody a zillion options for their meal?
Yes. That's what happened well with Anthony because he had trouble. Like, there was that one episode where Barbie took everyone's orders, took them down incorrectly, and then wrote them on like a whiteboard in a strange way. And Anthony was like,
Well,
and
those
everything
were
got
food
bungled.
allergies, right? So I guess that would be different because everybody had different requests. Like some were vegetarian, some were gluten free. But wasn't there another one where they were just offering them like a million different ways of
I mean, it's
doing
happened a
things?
million times, yeah, and it always gets them into a mess. And so I think that's what Fraser means when he says, like, well, I don't want to offer that. And then she comes back with she wants strawberries. So he's like, well, whatever, I'll do a ramekin of chocolate, do a ramekin of syrup, do a ramekin of strawberries. Like, no big deal.
Yeah. So then, I don't know. I just don't. By the way, I looked up how do rankings work. I looked this up on Reddit because that's the Bible. And someone here says the captain has 4 stripes, gold. Interior has silver stripes. Kate has 3, so this is old. Deckhands, gold stripes, are led by the bosun. And then first mates, 3 stripes. Bosun, 2 stripes, and all the deckhands are 1 stripe. And then they say the chief stew and the chef are the same stripes. They have the same rank. So I guess chef doesn't outrank stew. Oh, well, good. I'm glad I looked that up.
Well, now we
really
know.
made an ass out of myself there.
Could have been so embarrassing going on the record about the ranks.
Okay, so then the docking and succession violins, because docking, who knows? When dad dies, who's going to take over this dock slip or this boat slip? So then the chef is like, this joking shows we made the right choice of bosun with Ben and the lead deckhand, Sonny. Excellent work.
I thought one of the guests, maybe it was Stephanie, was like, where are we going? Are we just like backing into the dock? And the guy's like, yeah. like she was like confounded. Like, I mean, it feels like we're docking, but it's the back of it's going in instead of the front. I don't know. My world's being turned upside down right now.
So then Dylan's just touching his own ab muscles, going boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. This ab muscle has crane license. And then we go to Barbie and Sunny, and they're changing. And Sunny's like, oh, I asked Kyle how his day was going, and he said it's really good today. And Barbie's like, yeah, all day yesterday I was like, what am I doing? Because like I actually do like him. You know what I mean? Like maybe like less cokes in the world is a good thing.
So then Sunny jumps up and down and is like thrilled. And now it's time for all the guests to leave. So Steven, the primary, he's like, hold on. I need like a second. I'm just like very emotional. I read like this great page in Joy's book today, and I just was like really inspired by it. And I just want to say, you guys did a great job. Like, truly, so what? Who cares? Am I right? Like, this is so well deserved. Like the family dishes, the Feast of the 7 Fishes, the relationships we built. I mean, when we said, could you please clear this plate now? I just felt like that's an eternal bond that we'll always have.
Bye, everybody. I'm always going to remember my first STD. And Captain's like, that's still not funny. Well, that was a very emotional goodbye, eh? Let's get changed.
I know. Softy McSofterson over there on the yacht, on the dock, trying to walk away in his puddle of tears with that blazer on. Pathetic, am I right?
So now everyone's getting changed, and Dylan and the chef share a cabin, and he's like, oh, sorry, sir. And the chef's like, no worries. Let's get naked together, big boy.
Here we
Well,
go.
that made me
Now
laugh.
this is a show. So
Hell yeah.
Then Paris is like, her wrist hurts. So Zandy starts to like, she bandages it up and everything. And it's time for the tip meeting. So, well, that was a good charter. How good was that charter? Nick, welcome. Welcome to the crew. You don't look a day over 63, so congratulations. It's good to see that people aren't afraid of going au natural with the suntan lotion, so good for you. Well,
Look at you, not afraid of sunshine.
it's like you took that Carpetone baby and said, pull up your pants and get back inside.
All right, we've made $23,000. Well done, everybody. And the chef's like, I couldn't get this wage at restaurants. My dad was a chief engineer and retired at 50. So when I'm 50, I just imagine myself in Nicaragua by a beach making snacks in a little cafe. And that's the dream. All right, well, I didn't achieve that one. But maybe when I reach 50 again. Damn it.
I know. I feel like you can actually do that. So, right, like, we've seen enough House Hunters to know that it's like, Nick is a chef on a yacht where he sexually harasses women, and now he just wants to make food on the beach here in Managua.
I was going to say, is Nicaragua like a big place? Like, what is... I've never heard people like, I can't wait to move to Nicaragua.
Well, I feel like
it's beautiful. I mean, if there's a beach you can retire to make snacks and stuff. I've just never heard anybody say that. I'm wondering what their laws are. If he's like, you can still just say the C word there. I'm moving there.
I'm sure there is a House Hunters International where there's like a Midwestern couple that like moves from Iowa down to Nicaragua, and they want to like set up a little thing on the beach there, and like we just want to spend our days just going beaching during the day, and selling pineapples in the afternoon. It's just like a great way of life from the hectic pace of Des Moines.
From Des Moines.
This is my fantasy House Hunters. I'm already planning out our next Duel Hello. It's completely fictional.
Well, I just looked up Nicaragua. Nicaragua's beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous.
Oh my God. No wonder. How come I never hear about people going there? Oh, there's a volcano
I don't know.
there.
My college roommate was from Nicaragua, so for me, Nicaragua feels like it's part of my life.
Oh my God, the water's gorgeous here. Okay, I'm going to Nicaragua. What if I become friends with Nick?
What? Maybe he only wants to move there.
20-year-old to hang out with. His name is Nick, and he calls everybody the C word and slaps women on the ass. It's crazy.
Maybe he only wants to move to Nicaragua because his name is in it. He's like, you know what? I want to move there because it's a choice that lots of people have had to have. Nick or Agua? Which do you choose?
All right, you. That's enough, you.
Enough with the Nicaragua. I'm seeing if there's Nicaragua House Hunters.
Okay, so tip meeting, we got that done. So now they're cleaning and
There is.
blah, blah, blah. I'm fast forwarding through a lot of this because I'm being ridiculous.
Couple
Dylan
hunts
farts
for a
on
simpler
Kyle.
life in Nicaragua. Sorry.
Who does?
It does exist. A couple. Two realtors in San Diego are hunting for a simpler life on Nicaragua's western coast. Unfortunately for them, they're both terrible and are going to be run out of the country. Good luck.
All right, so small talk. Dylan farts on Kyle. The captain calls Fraser. So he's like, I just want to catch up with you, mate. It's a new environment with Nick down there. Because now we have to remember the captain Fraser has purposely undermined the chef in front of the captain, trying to prove a point, right? He's like saying things while the captain is sitting there, or he's sending Paris in there. And so the captain is seeing a lot of this go on. So he's like, all right, let's talk about Nick. And Fraser's like, well, I think I'm working with him firmly well. And the captain just stares at him like, I know this is going to continue, so do I need to wait for you to write a monologue, or are you just going to do this now? So he's like, well, I just don't want to speak to you soon, but equally, I'm underwhelmed with all of the food. There's zero presentation, he's not friendly, and his approach is my way or no way.
Well, it feels to me like you don't want to be as helpful with him as you were with Anthony. That's just how it feels. It's almost like I can see with Anthony, your boner coming through your shorts, whereas with Nick, it seems like it's actually receding into your abdomen.
And Fraser's getting annoyed, and he's telling us, like, well, I have a chef that doesn't communicate with me, and I'm at a loose end here. Chef's the problem, not me. Fraser, how many employees is this now? You tried to get Barbie fired. You weren't allowed to. You tried to get the chef fired. That finally worked because the chef folded. And then last season, you were trying to get Camille and like, why don't you just say, I can't be a fucking leader and back down? I've never seen somebody try and get this many people fired.
So, yeah, I think just like whenever there's conflict or people don't listen to him, he's just like, well, I can't work with him. So but Captain Curry sees the situation for exactly what it is, which is like, well, you haven't really given him a chance, right? And so we see clips of him like immediately coming down on the chef for putting out like a bowl of fries that's too small for Fraser, and then chocolate drama like with the crepe and all this stuff. And Cap's like, listen, it's going to take him a moment. We need to support him and let him do his food how he does it. He's like, but I am supporting him. I'm walking into the galley and saying, can we do it this way instead? That's very supportive from me.
And it's like, oh, it's just a different energy I feel with you since he's got here. And Fraser's just doing that thing where he's like, I'm listening to you and I'm biting my lips and squinting my eyes. But I don't feel welcome there, so I don't hang out there. Well, why wouldn't you be welcome, Fraser? All you do is come in and try and boss people around and insert your fucking authority everywhere. So we see him complaining about the French fries, complaining about the chocolate, and the captain's like, "Look, we just need to give him a moment, support him." And the captain's like, he's not the same Fraser. I don't understand it because the errors he was concerned about with the last chef, we don't have in this chef. He needs to shift because we can't keep going this way. He's going to create what he doesn't want to create. A disaster.
Iceberg lettuce straight ahead. So basically he's like, listen, the guests were happy, so chill out. So Fraser's like, well, I am very grateful for your guidance. Thank you again. Like biting his lip to be like, absolutely miserable.
Yes.
So
and
now
he's
Fraser
telling us, well, I guess what I get from the captain is we need to give him what he needs, even if what he needs is a load of horse shit.
So Fraser calls us to a meeting and he's like, listen, I think you've all probably noticed that I've gained a huge amount of weight just being concerned about this. Look at me. I'm hideous. Anyway, we have a different chef on board, and I've already been naughty on speaking about my opinion. So on that note, we only have one charter left. So if we see anything coming out that looks a little bit like a canteen ladle that has just been slopped onto a plate, I don't want you to say anything else. Anything. No matter how disgusting and vile and garnishless it appears.
Do not mention garnish around this pig non-artist of a chef. All right. I want us to be serious about how we try to change our feelings towards him, which is why I just slandered him for the past 3 minutes of this plea. So Paris is like, well, food is a whole other subject, but some of the other things he says, they're like unnecessary comments. And then we see that if you get chubby and some guy breaks your heart, don't come crying to me.
So then he's like, well, let's just be positive and as strong as we can for this afternoon. Group hug, everyone.
Come on, you horrible cretinous whores. And then they group hug. But I'm sorry I can't complain about sexual harassment when I've already wasted my complaint card on garnishless French fries in a small bowl. Sorry. So now it's preference sheet meeting time.
Yes. So, all right, everyone. There's no tin around this day because it's going to be a short charter. Marine and Rob are yacht owners, in case you couldn't tell, because her name is Marine. Like, literally, it's right on her name. And they are accustomed to butler service. They're bringing their kids and their friends, and which also means the butlers are accustomed to obnoxious service. So, the daughters are college students, and they're also former dancers. Ben, get ready.
So then now they're going to go out. So everybody's changing and Ben's just like flipping his hair in slow motion for the camera. I mean, to have the confidence of a Ben. Wow.
Yeah. And
I think the best kind of confidence is the unearned kind. I think you're just born with that. It's amazing. I wish they could bottle that.
I know. He really believes he's super hot. So Fraser, he's getting they go out, they're doing shots and everything, and the Steven's texting him to be like, where are you gonna go? Da, da, da. They're coordinating and everything. And then Nick tells a story about how he had a girlfriend and he bought her a Chanel bag, but then they broke up, so he took the bag back.
He's such a pig. Well, this is the story you tell the group to like get them to know you. You know, he's like, all right, everyone. I got a girl a Chanel bag and I took it. And that's how I got a Chanel bag. And they're like, great story, weirdo.
Yeah, that's not how you endear yourself. So he's like, yeah. Well, he's like, well, I do like beautiful girls. I'm a little crazy, so if they're a little crazy themselves, it probably works a little better for me. As long as I feel safe when I'm sleeping, that they're not going to strangle me. Like, oh, well, those women, crazy and hysterical and prone to murdering.
So then Sunny comes up, or Ben comes up behind Sunny and starts like hugging her while she's eating, like from behind and massaging her. He's like, "How was dinner?" And she's like, "Okay, this is a little confusing." And so he's massaging her, and she's like, "He's just stirring the pot. I can't wait to give him exactly what he wants in 5 minutes."
I know. It's so inappropriate. Like, if you're going to dump someone and then you're their boss, and then you go up to them at dinner and then you are draping yourself all over. I was like, this is so rude and inappropriate. So then they go to another location where there's drinking some more and they're dancing and partying and getting wasted. Zandy gets wasted. She's like flopping all over and they're like joking that she's like a baby giraffe and everything. And then here comes Steven to go kiss Fraser.
So their conversation, Fraser's like, "So thank you for coming tonight. Ooh, this chemistry." And Steven's like, "Did you find me unapproachable?" He goes, "I mean, I suppose so." He goes, "Yeah, I get that a lot." "How are you unapproachable? You threw yourself at him the entire time. You're a welcome mat. What are you fucking talking about unapproachable?" And Fraser goes, "I'm literally obsessed with you." So they make out and some romantic songs going. And then we see them break apart, and he's like, this is the first time in a long time that I've had a crush on someone and they've had feelings back. I can't wait to get him fired.
I have a question. When you asked if you were unapproachable, does the fact that I wasn't actually inherently interested in approaching you mean that you were unapproachable, or was that a different kind of way to deal with it?
Is unpalatable the same as unapproachable?
So then Ben, of course, goes right up. It's like, "Yay, go Fraser," which is exactly what everyone wants when someone's making out. And then there's like more slow motion drinks and
It's like couples making out time, It's like Fraser's got his guy, and then we go to Barbie and Kyle, and Kyle's like, or Barbie's like, like I totally own it now. Like I don't even like care. Like it's so good to be with Kyle, as long as like no one's making a big deal out of it. And then it just cuts to Dylan going, "Woo, you're making out. Yes, I visualized this. Yes."
And then so they're all just like drunk. They go back to the boat and everything, and they're like in bands being drunk, etc. And I think it was here on the boat, or it was at the boat, or maybe it was at the club, where Ben is sitting next to Sunny, and he just puts his hand on her knee and then like strokes her whole leg. And I was just so grossed out. I mean, I know they've already had sex. They have like this on again, off again energy, but I just am like really repulsed by a guy that would humiliate her on TV, make her seem like she's the crazy one, dump her, and then he goes the very next night and starts stroking her leg like that, especially because he knows that it's going to work, because he knows that she's like damaged. Like she has damage, some sort of damage in her life that makes her feel like she has to do this. Like the energy I get from Sunny is not like, well, he's a fuck boy, but I'm horny, so whatever, I'll sleep with him because I don't really care. It's like, oh my God, it's actually my fault. Like I'm kind of the toxic one here. So it was nice that he took me back, I just feel like he takes advantage of it, and he's just absolutely gross for it.
Yeah, she's gross too, because I can't do this whole like, oh my God, poor Sunny's just a victim who's like hurting her heart. Like, Sunny, you're gross. How many times does this guy have to treat you like crap? At this point, you deserve what you get. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. Have fun with subscribing to your Ben box, where every month you get a new box of something fucking terrible and feeling hurty. Have fun with that, okay? You earned it.
Well, so on that note, he's like, "So we're gonna share the bed tonight?" And she's like, "Sure." I was like, "What?" No. After everything that you said this episode? Oh, come on, Sonny, come on.
Yeah. So then Kyle and Barbie are also going to hook up. And then basically everyone's fucking. That's how we end. And Barbie's trying to have this conversation. And Kyle, she's like, "Oh my God, we are like such different people." And they're in the night vision cam, and Kyle's eyes are like crossing. He's like, "Yeah, very different people. And I'm vulnerable. I'm vulnerable as fuck right now." And she's like, Good chat. Good chat, Kyle.
Good chat.
Good chat.
And that was so that was the end of Below Deck, but we have Summer House Martha's Vineyard. So what were the highlights of this episode? Well, there was the big thing that happened was that Nick threw a party. So it's like every episode someone throws a party. So this is Nick's party. I think it was called like Lux and the Bluffs, which is what they did last year, was like the black tie affair and everything. So everyone there are more people that are coming in for this, and it's gonna be like a lot of college friends and a large group. Nick goes on like a 5K race, and he's like really upset that like no one was like, good luck, Nick, you're gonna do great, Nick. He just like goes up, because the truth is that I feel like if someone says to me, I'm gonna run a 5K today, I'm like, great. That's to me saying like I'm going to go to Target. Like a 5K is impressive, but at some point, like, people who run 5Ks have to stop expecting the same reaction to I'm running a marathon. And honestly, I don't even like supporting marathon runners. I'm just going to say it. I find that when people run marathons, it's pretty annoying.
I mean, congrats on working out. I mean, that's great. Do you get a hug every time you go to the gym? I mean, I guess that's a big one, 5K. How long is that, 5K? How long does that take?
I think he did it in like 20 minutes, by the way, right? Let me see. 5K.
How long does it take to run a 5K? Let's see.
Well, a 5K is 3 miles. So it's like
People do that
3.1
literally every day. People go fucking run 3 miles every day. Am I supposed to just pull my car over on the side of the road and be like, "Oh my God, my neighbor, you're doing 3 miles? You are congratulations! I made you a fucking flag. I'm gonna be sitting here in a folding chair when you come back. Get the fuck over yourself.
Let me
It's
tell you
3
something.
miles, Nick."
I said I typed in 5K time average, because I think he had like a 19. I think his score was like 19 minutes. So according to runninglevel.com, a good 5K time is 23 minutes. Like, I'm sorry. I think it's, if you say you're doing a 5K, I'll be like, oh, cool, I'll see you afterwards. If you want me to text you and be like, good luck on your 5K, I hope you do great with your 5K, and it's only a 23-minute ordeal. I spend more time on my Peloton.
Yeah, people work out literally every day. I do not care. But Nick has decided that today he's just going to be super offended that he's not getting support from the house. And so he goes and then he gets pissed off because nobody sent him a text and said good luck. And he's like, come on, guys, a text, you could have just said 2 words, good luck. And none of you could even do that. So I'm glad. He calls a house meeting, by the way, because it's his party. So
Yeah,
he
it's a
wants to
house
give
meeting.
everybody a list of shit to do. And then he opens it up by guilting them all. And they're like, okay. So basically you can tell Nick doesn't have employees, because this is just not the way to motivate people. Like, you gather people around, you bitch at them and make them feel like shit, and then give them a list of shit to do. No. Sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Well, but he explained that the people he gathered were the people who expressed interest in helping out, because Tasia's coming into town. So they're going to clean up the whole house for Tasia and get the party set up. And before the house meeting, Bria's asking about the event, whatever. And she's like, so no one really helped me with my event. So I want to know what I have to do for your event. But just a reminder, no one helped me with my event. And then we see footage of like everyone helping Bria, which was so Bria to do that.
Bria's very Bria this entire episode.
She is. So she's like, so I will do something for you. Just like, let me know. He's like, well, if you don't want to help, you don't have to. She's like, no, I'm going to help. He's like, okay, well, could you tidy up the bathrooms? She goes, fine. And then she goes upstairs. She's all mad. Like, he wants me to tidy up the bathrooms like I'm the maid? You can just hire someone for that.
Yeah, and then she's like, I'm not going to do it. So she just decides she's not going to do it. Okay, so that's her thing. And then they end up having kind of a boring party until they did stepping later, which everybody really got into. But
yeah. At
during
first
the
it was like
party,
a
they were
cocktail
like,
party.
what the hell is this party? Yeah, everybody was kind of bored during this party. During the party, Mariah comes, and Mariah's trying to have scenes, and people are just like, you're not on this show. I'm sorry. I know Jasmine was trying to make Mariah happen, but the laundry fight was in the first episode last year. Nobody cares, Mariah, but Mariah is still trying to come make the laundry fight a thing. So she pulls Amir aside, and he's like, oh God, do I have to have this fight? And so she's like, well, I didn't like that you didn't admit to the putting dog clothes in with the laundry. And he's like, okay. She's like, and I think you did it on purpose. And he goes, what? Why would So you think he put dog stuff in the laundry on purpose to trigger you, to get you upset with Bria so that you would push Bria? How does that make any sense?
Yeah, I don't believe that there was a conspiracy behind it. I do think like Amir should have been like, yeah, that was my bad. Like I let you guys like fight when I could have de-escalated it pretty easily. Like I think it was like a little shitty of him, but it is funny that like it's now a year later and we're still talking about this fight. As I think Nick says, like you're talking about laundry. The other thing is that like Summer. So last episode, Summer was so angry she knocked an Amazon box off of a console in the foyer, and so we find out that she's just she's like a bad drunk basically, and she's got a lot going on right now. And then it comes out that she had said that like it's not easy being friends with Jordan and Preston, and so now Jordan and Preston are upset because they're like, really? Did you really say that about us? And she's like, no, I just meant like, you know, we talk about like really heavy things, and like what's nice about the others is that they just have like fun times, and with you guys it's, you know, it's heavy, which is basically
trauma
like
dumping. It's one long fucking trauma dump.
It
Like
is.
this season, it is one long. This whole episode is a trauma dump. But what's so funny is that Summer is like that. That's all Summer does.
She is a
Like,
trauma
all
dump
she
herself.
does. Yeah. So of course she's like, your all's drama is too heavy because she doesn't talk about her drama. It's like everyone else is talking about their stuff, but she hasn't gotten a chance, I guess, to talk about her stuff yet.
Yeah.
But Summer's trauma dumping all over the audience while complaining that she's being trauma dumped on is so funny, and it's just such a funny juxtaposition. And she just walks around the whole house going, I'm literally exhausted. You're on vacation. You've been on vacation for a week or two already.
Yes.
And all you're doing is saying how exhausted you are. Oh my God.
And then she's saying how like, oh, like she's envious of like the light fun times that others get to have. And now we have this party, which, like you said, starts off kind of like dry, kind of like slow. But then when everyone starts like dancing, and you know, there's the stepping, and there's like the line dancing and all that, it's like so many people dancing, and everyone looks like they're having the best time. This looks like, honestly, it looked like one of the most fun parties we've ever seen on Bravo. Like everyone was just having the best time. This great fun party, and Summer's like, I have to go back. I'm gonna go to sleep. It's too much. I'm like, this is the light fun that you want.
Well,
Why
it's
are you
because
not having
everybody, unfortunately for her, you know, her actions, the consequence is now she has to have a talk with everybody, right? So she's had a talk with Noelle, and Noelle's like, well, I have to protect myself too, and while I understand you've got to be going through something even though you don't want to talk about it, I have to like have some distance with you. And so she's crying about that. And then has the talk with Preston about what she said about them being too heavy, and he's like, well, you know, I don't have to be heavy. If you need me to be light, I can also have fun. I can be fun, Preston. And she's like, okay. So she sobs again for that. And he's like, I won't go in. I'm not going to go anywhere. And it's like, I thank you for saying it. So she's sobbing. And then she goes to the next person and they make her sob. And then she goes, she can't take any kind of criticism from anybody, you know? And that's what started it, because I think they were coming at her in kind of an unfair way when she was just like, guys, Jasmine did tell you she was inviting Mariah to the house. It's not like she blindsided you. And then they jumped all over her like, well, sit, mind your own business. But instead of just being like, okay, and like backing off, she started being like, why are they yelling at me? Like she started taking everything so personally. And now that she's reacted in this way, now everybody is telling her something, and she can't take it. She can't take any kind of criticism, and now she's going to get it from every person in the house, and she just has to stand there and take it. Oh, it sucks. It sucks for her.
Well, the other person who's quite fragile is Amir's girlfriend. What's her name again?
Well, she's crazy as hell, that girl.
At one point...
Is it Monica?
No, but at one point there's a girl at the party who's wearing a dress that looks similar to Jordan's, and she has a wig on that looks similar to Jordan's. So then Amir's like, oh, is that Jordan? Oh, no, it's not Jordan. And then immediately the girlfriend gets mad.
I don't know if it was even a wig, but she had long hair that looked like Jordan's.
Oh, I thought they said it was a wig. Either way, she had the same hair. And so then the girlfriend starts getting mad. And he's like, what? Something wrong? No. I can tell something's wrong. No. Can you just say it? No, I'm fine. Come on, I know you're mad. just like you said, like, is that Jordan? He's like, yeah, because there's a girl who I thought was Jordan. It's like she can't. Amir's not even allowed to mention Jordan's name in her
That
presence.
girl's a nutcase. She is a nut. And then she's also a huge
She's the
drama.
biggest gossip.
She's a big gossip. She keeps running and tattletaling on everybody. She's like, well, guess what I heard?
Here's the tea.
because she's the one who tattletaled on
Summer.
What were we just talking about? Summer, yeah. She's like, well, I heard Summer saying that she doesn't like being in a relationship with you guys because it's too hard. And they're like, what? And then she's just running around tattletelling literally on everybody, starting fights.
Everyone, she's like, okay, I have the tea, which was kind of funny, made me kind of enjoy her more because she's so messy. So we have this whole big party, and there's actually like a very emotional part of it because Nick talks about his friend, his fraternity brother who died. Tasia also showed up. She showed up while they were cleaning. I was like, great planning. Because the house was supposed. Well, I thought the house was supposed to be clean for Tasia, but I guess it was clean for the party. But I was actually delighted that Alex did not sing. Although it would have been funny to hear him be like, Music Collective. And then the other thing that happened is, so Simon, of course, gets wasted at this party. He gets really, really wasted. And he decides it'll be hilarious to put on this like inflatable flamingo costume where like it looks like he's riding a flamingo. So he puts it on and he brings it downstairs. And Bria is mortified, justifiably so, because even though people are having fun and people are drunk and being silly, this is not a inflatable flamingo party. So she just becomes livid at him.
Yeah, because he won't take it off. She's like, oh my God, there's a time and a place, Simon. Take it off. He's like, what a time and a place for flamingos now. A flamingo party. And he's like dancing around and like chugging drinks. And Nick's like, oh my God, what does he do? Everyone's like mortified, you know?
Yeah, because he's like trying to kind of get the attention, and it's like really not an event for him. And it feels like it's very specifically, it feels very much like this is about like, black fraternity, black sorority culture right now in this moment. And he's trying to be like, but look at me, I'm wacky flamingo. And everyone's like, no.
Wrong time for this one, buddy.
And then we see a montage.
And she's like, I'm breaking up with you. This relationship's over. He's like, okay, the relationship is over because I'm a flamingo.
That was the part that made me laugh the most, because of flamingo. And then we see like a flashback of actually like Simon just being awful so many times. There was like one shot of him on the kitchen island doing like a Michael Jackson dance like during like a relatively chill moment. And then last year at the same party, he jumped into the pool. So Bria, I hope Bria breaks up with him because he's pretty awful.
Yeah, he's gross. And what else happened? I mean, basically, it's like it's basically watching Summer spiral is kind of the through line in this, is watching Summer just lose it more and more. And I feel bad for her because she's a mess. I mean, this girl's a mess. I don't know if it has to do with the drinking or what's going on with her, but she's...
I have to say, I want to say something that's not about Summer. Phil shows up. Phil comes to the party. And Phil towers over everyone. He's like really tall. And I feel like this is the first time we've seen on Bravo where tall privilege does not kick in. He cannot get his tall privilege to work for him, right? Girls are not hanging off of him. No one seems to want to talk to him. No one wants to be around him. I'm like, but he's a tall male on Bravo. What's happening here? Like you have to have some serious like existential questions for yourself if you can't even utilize your tall privilege.
Yeah, and he's also just like, he shows up really underdressed. Everybody else is fancy.
Yeah, of course.
And he's like, what am I supposed to be dressed? And then he's like, oh, this is Nick's party. I guess I won't shit in his toilet. He's just, people are like, no.
Yeah.
No, thank you, sir. I feel bad about making fun of Nick, but it's not that his friend passed away. It's just like, so this show, I was like, can we have a moment that's not infused with somebody dying? Being like, it's they just really leaned into it on this one. But overall, still a pretty fun show, and I think that we got everything that happened. On there.
I mean, I think we kind of did get everything. I mean, it's a fun show. It's just been like a little rudderless, I feel like, the past few episodes. I love the cast. I like the idea of watching it. Like it's fun. I feel like I'm stepping into like a really fun summer house, like an actual summer house, and I feel like I'm like watching Friends, and it's like oh that's funny. Oh that was funny too. But in terms of like, you know, like sometimes it's a little, it's like it's not always compelling. But I really like this cast
Well,
quite
they
a bit.
get rid of all the. They get rid of the.
They don't have any villains.
Fighting people. You know, they get rid of the villains. Yeah. So
You know?
that kills it.
Yep. But whatever, it's enjoyable enough, and that was our little check-in to it. Wasn't really enough to do like a full recap, but you know we don't want to leave it out in the cold. So thanks everyone for listening, and we will be back with more recaps all week long. Catch you on the next one. Bye.